Hey everyone, it's Samantha and I'm starting a new series. This is going to be kind of a monthly thing. It's just going to be called Recipe Roundup, and I'm taking pictures that I took of various meals that we've had throughout the month that we've really liked, and I'm just going to walk you through the recipes or link you up to the recipes and kind of review each food. I decided to do this over like a meals of the week kind of video because we do repeat a lot of the same favorites over and over again. We don't try new meals every day, and I thought it would be kind of repetitive and boring to do a weekly what's for dinner kind of thing. So instead I'm doing this. I'm just going to round up all the recipes that I've tried for this month that I've liked, and I'll review them for you guys and give you the proper information so you can try them out yourself. And if you want more food inspiration, definitely check me out on Instagram. I'm the Scrap Master, and I post a lot of food pictures over there. So if you want to see most of our nightly dinners, usually there's a picture up of those. So definitely check me out over there. So let's go ahead and get started on this first recipe. This is my own version of a Chipotle bowl, and we used chicken for this. So what I did was, this is the same shredded chicken I always do. I just do a big pot in the crock pot of shredded chicken. I did a recipe for Chipotle lime rice that's kind of a copycat Chipotle, and it did taste pretty close to the Chipotle. I have a link to that down below. We also included some cut up tomatoes, cut up lettuce, and with the shredded chicken I also sauteed some onions and green peppers and just used fajita seasoning for that. I will link a recipe down below. I just make my own homemade. I also topped my bowl with some shredded cheese and some green onions. So all in all, we both agreed that we loved this recipe. We ended up making it 2 weeks in a row, and it's definitely a keeper. Next up is the hamburgers. So I showed these in a freezer meal recipe, linked down below. I just put a bunch of these patties in the freezer, and my husband saw them in the freezer and he wanted the hamburgers. They're supposed to be for the postpartum period, so I went ahead and got more ground beef and made some more patties up so we could have these before the baby gets here. He wanted them. So it's basically a copycat Five Guys recipe. You make the patties super duper thin and then cook them on a griddle or in your skillet until each side gets done and you get a little browning on each side. We topped these with some lettuce, tomatoes, sauteed onions, sauteed peppers, sauteed mushrooms. I also did bacon, and I put cheese and mayo on mine. And I've got to be honest with you guys, this is my absolute favorite way to do a burger. They're better than even Five Guys. I love them. So this next picture shows a lot of things this month that are kind of new discoveries for us, or new cravings for me. This was back in December, so I did make country fried steak. I was just craving it as a pregnancy craving. I did show this whole recipe in a video, even the gravy. So one thing I discovered was my husband really likes these garlic and herb baked potatoes. All I do is I bake the potato almost all the way through, then cut it in half and season it. I seasoned it with a little bit of olive oil, some garlic powder, a little bit of cracked black pepper, and then some parsley. And then I stuck it back in the oven to let it cook all the way through. And I don't know, I put it in maybe like the last 10 or 15 minutes with the seasoning on top, and he loved it. He just ate it all up. He doesn't really like baked potatoes very much because he doesn't like all the normal traditional toppings, and he tries to eat them plain. And I just think, a plain old baked potato sounds really nasty, so I'm not really surprised he doesn't like them. But he loved them this way. We don't do potatoes very often, but when we do, this will be such a super easy way for me to make him a potato. And I did garlic and herb mashed potatoes. So while his potato was baking, I just had my potatoes cubed up in some water boiling so that they would get tender, and then just mashed them up with the same seasonings that I put over his potato, and it was absolutely delicious. And the final thing I want to talk about from this picture is the Southern style green beans. And this is absolutely one of our favorite things. We've had these for years. And all it is some chopped up ham. And this is actually ham we have left over from Thanksgiving. We just cubed it up really small and stuck it in the freezer. So then I can take small portions and stick it in with the green beans. And these are just canned green beans. I strain them and rinse them and just fill up the pot with water, and I do 2 cans of green beans with 3 bouillon cubes, a little bit of ham. I add some cracked black pepper, and sometimes I add a little bit of onion powder or minced onion, which is just dehydrated onion pieces, and it turns out so good. It's such an easy thing. You just let it simmer for like 30 or 45 minutes, and it's so nice and easy. We've done this, like I said, for years, and even without the ham, the green beans are so good doctored up like this. So I definitely recommend trying it out. Next up, I've just got a simple pasta dish, and you can really change this around to meet your family's needs. It's just an olive oil based sauce. I've got some shrimp, kale, diced up tomatoes, and I also include some minced garlic in here. And just to season it, I use a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, the minced garlic, and if I want it spicy, I include some chopped up jalapenos or just some red pepper flakes to make it spicy. And you can really change it up, add any vegetables you want to this, and it's something that I make a lot when I really don't feel like cooking because it's super duper easy. This next recipe is another easy one. It's just grilled chicken sandwiches. So I had some buns in the freezer I wanted to use up, and I had some chicken breasts. So this is actually just one chicken breast. I cut it like butterfly style to make it two thinner chicken breasts and grilled them in the George Foreman for just a little while. I had a pot of green beans on, and I did roasted veggies for Johnny and pasta salad for me. And I shared the pasta salad recipe in a different video. And I've talked about how to do the roasted veggies in a couple of my videos. If you watched some of my food recipes, you've probably seen that already. For toppings for these sandwiches, I've got some sliced up avocado, some sauteed green peppers and onions, a tomato, and lettuce. So it was just a super simple, easy, and healthy dinner. This next picture actually shows two different things. I have had a major pregnancy craving for ramen noodles, but I like to doctor them up. I don't use the seasoning packet because I have migraines and I know that the seasoning packet can trigger my migraines. So I take that out and I use chicken broth or a bouillon cube instead. And what I did in the top picture here is just boiled my ramen noodles with some chopped up mushrooms, and it was so good this way. I like to do either chopped up mushrooms or kale or both, just depends on what I have on hand. Mix them up and have those as a snack or lunch or dinner. In this case it was dinner for me because I was craving it super bad. And then for my husband, I made him a chicken pot pie noodle bake. And this is the same chicken pot pie filling that I showed in a recent Freezer Meal Friday video. And the only thing I did differently, instead of topping it with biscuits or whatever, I made some egg noodles and just mixed them in. It was super duper easy, and he really enjoyed it. So I thought it was just a nice different way to make the same meal for him, just jazzed it up a little bit differently. Next up, I have a couple of desserts to share with you. This one is a fruit cobbler, and I just made it using some canned stuff that I had. I just kind of made this recipe up, so I'll include my measurements and instructions down below. It's basically just a peach cobbler recipe, except I included a can of pineapple and also some frozen cherries. I just had some in the freezer, and it turned out so delicious. And I'm trying something. I took some of the pieces of this and wrapped it in foil and stuck it in the freezer, and I'm hoping I can heat individual portions of it up later because I could not eat this whole thing by myself. It was just too big. If you've ever frozen a dessert like this, let me know in the comment section below how it went for you, reheating it and stuff. I'd like to know. And this next recipe is such an easy recipe. I feel kind of silly including this, but it was one of those like light bulb moments for me when I realized how easy this was. I love bananas right now, and I decided to make chocolate covered bananas. So what we did was we just bought bananas and magic shell. It's just the chocolate that's near all the ice cream fudges and toppings and stuff. So what I did was I chopped up the banana, stuck it in the freezer for maybe a couple of hours, and then dipped each piece in the magic shell. I just took all the magic shell out of the bottle, put it in a little bowl, and dipped my fruit in it. Then I just stuck some of it back in the freezer and then ate some of it immediately. It was just so good. I've done this quite a few times. I also dipped some apples for my husband. I just had them in the refrigerator. He didn't want me to freeze the apples, but you could do any kind of fruit. You could do strawberries, raspberries, just anything you want covered in chocolate, and it's such an easy way to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye!